Therapy changed my life, and today I want to talk to you guys all about it. But first, before I get into that, I do just want to touch on some of the experiences and struggles that I have personally faced with depression and anxiety, and what ultimately led me to ask for help and to get the help that I desperately needed with therapy. It is really hard to be in a dark place mentally. Back when I was dealing with depression and anxiety, if I saw a video like this, it would have really helped me. So that's my hope for this video, is that in some way this will help you. That's all I can hope for. So anyway, with all that being said, let's get into it. So I think it's important for you guys to understand that I feel like my depression and anxiety stemmed from dealing with chronic illness and chronic pain for a majority of my life. And I did not realize any of this until I actually went to therapy and processed what I went through and was able to heal. So now looking back, it's very clear on some of the things that contributed to my depression and anxiety. And when I'm looking back now, I am like, oh my gosh, why didn't you get help sooner? Because clearly it would have done me a lot of good, but I didn't know I needed help. Like I was saying, I believe that my depression and anxiety stemmed from being sick at a young age and going through all these trials and tribulations over the years. I've gone through a lot in my life because of my health issues. I have been undiagnosed for a very long time before getting any answers. I was not taken seriously by doctors. Doctors were doubting me and dismissing my pain and my concerns. I have had several hospitalizations and surgeries and ER visits. I had a hysterectomy at the age of 25. I've been through some allergic reactions to medications that completely altered my life. I couldn't walk for a year because of those reactions, and I've had to take chemotherapy. I've gained weight from medications. I've lost weight from malnutrition. There's a lot that I've been through, and just like any other person with health issues, there is just a lot of medical trauma that goes into the day in and day out of living with a chronic health issue, and a lot of unknowns. That can all be very scary, and it creates anxiety. I was a pretty confident person, but the more sick I became, the more unsure I was of my abilities. That really took a toll on my self-esteem. And after all these years of dealing with sickness and struggles, my anxiety was just at an all-time high. And I began to feel like I couldn't leave the house, because leaving the house meant things were going to happen outside of my control. If I leave the house and I'm by myself, what if I pass out? Or what if I have a random pain that is so excruciating, but there's nobody around to help me? What if I'm driving on the highway and my Crohn's is acting up and I cannot find an exit to get off of to go get to the bathroom? What if I can't get there fast enough? Every single thing that was outside of my house felt like it was more work than it was worth, because I was so exhausted from coming up with every single scenario in my head and how I would get out of every single situation. And that led to a place of being in a very dark place. I started to deal with depression. Like I said, I was so anxious that I didn't want to leave the house, the comfort of my little bubble. And it got to a point where I was just in the house all day, every day. I slowly started to get into a little rhythm of just being in my little cocoon, being in my little bubble, in my little safe space, and being perfectly fine with that. Not realizing that I could get help, and that just because I'm in this dark place and I feel like there's no end to this suffering, I didn't have to stay in that stuck space. And that's so important for me to tell you guys, because truly, if I did not ask for help and if I did not get the help that I needed, I don't know what my life would be like right now. My life is so different than what it was 5 years ago before I got therapy. I'm not being dramatic about this at all. Therapy saved my life. It saved my relationships. It saved every aspect of my life. And I'm so thankful for that. And so you're probably wondering now, what was the turning point? What made me finally get the help that I needed. And to be honest, a lot of it has to do with my husband. He came home one day from work and he looked at me and I was still in bed from that morning when he left to go to work. And he looked at me and he said, I can't take seeing you in the same spot that you were in when I left when I get home from work. It literally broke his heart that I had pretty much given up on myself. And it honestly took him telling me that to make me break out of the cycle. I was snapped out of it and brought back to reality so quickly because I realized I had given up on myself. I had lost all confidence and all faith in myself. I did not even know who I was anymore. And it took my husband telling me how hard it was for him to see me like that, for me to realize how stuck I really was and that I needed help. And that's when I went to my primary care doctor and I asked her what I should do for the depression and anxiety. I was put on anxiety medication and I was told that I should go to therapy to get better. And that was the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. The thing about therapists is that it's like doctors. Not every doctor is going to be right for you. And the same thing goes for therapists. So the first therapist I went to, I did not click with at all. The second therapist that I went to, I clicked right away and I knew that she was going to be the one to give me the tools and the wisdom to get to a better place. So if you are looking for a therapist and you are trying to start that journey, don't be discouraged if you don't like the first therapist that you go to, because you will find the one that works for you. In order for therapy to work, you have to want it yourself and you have to do the work. Just going to a therapist and sitting in the chair for an hour is not going to give you the results that you need. You have to put the time and effort and energy into getting better and prioritizing your needs and your body. One of the main ideas around the therapy that I was receiving was that I needed to get out of my comfort zone and I needed to feel the fear and do it anyway. And she even recommended a book, and it's literally called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And this has become my mental health Bible, and I absolutely love it so much, and I recommend this to anyone that's also struggling with anxiety and depression because it truly changed my life. And I know I'm saying that a lot in this video, but I could not be more of an advocate for therapy. Seriously. What I needed help with was I was so anxious and so depressed because I was so scared of my body. I was so scared of the unlimited possibilities of things going wrong. I was scared to do anything. I was scared to be by myself. I was scared to do anything new. It terrified me because I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust my body. I didn't feel safe in my body. So that was what I worked on. And I would go a couple times a week to see her and work through my trauma and process it, because when you are in the middle of all those struggles and trials and traumatic events, I don't know about you, but I was truly in survival mode. I was trying just to push past as quick as I could. Let's just get out of this. I was never processing it or trying to heal my mind from those traumas. So with therapy, it helped me to really look back on certain situations and events that happened in my life and really process it. And honestly, coming to the conclusion that it's okay that I was not okay. I had to learn that in order to get my confidence back up, to trust myself again, to trust my body and feel safe in my body, I had to do things that were uncomfortable. I had to change my whole mindset. I had to push myself to do little things. But at the time, they were very big things to me. So it might seem very small, but these were very big steps for me. I had to go to the grocery store alone and realize, okay, I did it. I can check that off. I needed to pick new places to go to by myself. I needed to drive somewhere in a different city that I wasn't familiar with, making phone calls to doctors, paying bills. Every little thing that I did, I felt such a sense of accomplishment after every little thing I did by myself. And those little things were the things that built up my confidence and my self-esteem. Because once I did it, I realized I can do it. I can handle whatever happens and I'm going to be okay. Something that my therapist told me was, what's the worst that can happen? And I was like, do you have 10 hours? Because I can literally list off a million things that I'm anxious about right now. We laughed about it and she was like, seriously, what's the worst that can happen? Let's come up with some situations right now. Let's say you are flying on a plane and you get sick in the middle of the flight and you're in the middle of the air. What's the worst that can happen? And of course, I'm thinking, okay, well, the worst thing that can happen is that I'm sick and I'm stuck on a plane. What the heck am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to feel safe? How am I supposed to get the help that I need? But what I realized was by looking at the worst case scenario and dissecting it, you realize it really has no power over you anymore. And so what I mean by that is, let's take that example again. I'm flying on a plane and I get really sick mid-flight. Okay, that's pretty bad. That's really scary. It's happened before to me. It's traumatizing. It's a big deal. But what's the solution? There are people on the plane that can help you. There are doctors. There are nurses. They have oxygen. They have medicine. They have things on board to help you feel more comfortable and give you the help that you need. And guess what? If it's a really big emergency, they can always do an emergency landing and get you to the closest hospital very quickly. And then I was like, okay, so I guess the worst case scenario doesn't have as much power anymore because now you've already told your mind that you could handle it, that you're gonna get through it and you're gonna be okay. If you move to a different state and you sell your home, you sell your car, and you get there and you hate it, guess what? You can always move back. You don't have to stay where you are. It's a learning experience and something that you can grow from. And so what I realized was that everything that I was so afraid of, every anxious thought that I had was quickly met with some sort of solution. And I realized that maybe those things aren't so scary after all. I had to tell myself, whatever happens, I can handle it. And I'm telling you guys all of this because I want you to realize that if you are stuck and if you are in that dark place, that you can ask for help and that things can change drastically. My life changed so much just by getting the help that I needed for my mental health. Yes, I have gotten help for my mental health, but there's still struggles and things still happen and I still have chronic illnesses and that's not going to change. But the way that I handle situations and my confidence to be able to handle situations is night and day difference. And it really helps me get through the struggles of chronic illness. Because I got the help that I needed, I was able to basically start a whole new life. If I could tell myself 5 years ago, 6 years ago, before I got therapy, how my life would look in 5 years, I would have never believed it. There's no way. I was in such a bad spot that I did not see anything changing. I really didn't think anything could change. And so I just want to scream it across the entire world on all the rooftops because I'm so happy now and I have this trust in my body. I know I have said a lot in this video and I hope that you're keeping up with me, but this video has just been something that I really wanted to make because this topic is so important to me because I remember being in my room feeling like this was it. This is just how my life is gonna be. That's not how it has to be. That's not how your life has to be. Please ask for help. Things can change so quickly for you, and I want that for you. When I was going through my depression and my anxiety at the highest level, I remember feeling so alone, and I would have loved to have seen a video like this, talking about the struggles and talking about the victories of therapy and talking about being on the other side after getting help, because at the time I could not see it for myself, and that breaks my heart, and I don't want anybody to ever feel alone. You are capable of more, and you can get better. You just have to do the work and push past your fears and insecurities, and you will get there. I hope this video helped you in some way, and if you like this video and you want to see more from me, just click that subscribe button and feel free to like this video if you did, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye guys. Remember, you're not alone and things can get better.